Yeah, it was one of my neighbors was asking me about it.
Well, that's
There might be. They might still find the pins in their backyard, in the front yard.
Should be there. So the question is actually real quick. Good morning, Melissa Johnson. How are you? This is Melissa Johnson. She's with Title One Corporation. They're all over the place, but she's in Eagle, Idaho. She's my preferred escrow officer. She works with all sorts of people who all love her equally, I believe. Obviously, we've got Shaun Wooley, loan guy, and Dan Canzone, the insurance man. Thanks for coming this Friday morning. We were just talking about Dan had brought something up. We were talking off camera, and he brought up a question about fence lines or the fence being over the lot line. Or do you have any more specifics on that?
From what I'm understanding, there's retaining walls, and then there's a fence that's placed near it. And in some cases, that fence could be on the other property, encroaching on it or whatever. I don't have full details, just a question on how that works and if that's something title insurance would cover or. Yeah.
A survey would be the way to go. Not cheap, but that'll really tell you where the lot line is and then whether or not they need to move their fence, which is probably never fun.
Be able to even just go out and at least just find the pins. Because if it's a subdivision that's been platted, then all of that was originally done when it was developed, and a surveyor may just be able to go find the pins, or the homeowner person can find the pins.
And this is an early enough, it's a young enough subdivision that all that stuff should still be there. Excuse me. And it shouldn't be too awfully difficult. Of course, the most expensive and last resort would be the survey.
What would the pin look like? What would they be?
It's a piece of rebar that's driven 2 feet into the ground with a yellow cap.
Okay.
Yeah, yellow. Mine are yellow, at least, for sure.
Yellow or orange, but the only ones I've ever seen are yellow.
And so if it's not properly set, if the fence is on the other property or vice versa, who's responsible for taking care of that?
Well, if the fence is completely, go ahead, Melissa.
I would find out first, and then have them, call their title company or call the agents. But was the fence put in after they bought it?
Or did the builder put it in?
Did the builder?
I believe I got here in the third or the final stage. I believe the builder put them in.
Okay. So like when I put my fence in here,
your house,
the house next door didn't exist yet. And so they pulled the line, and instead of having we'll say that a 4x4 is 4 inches wide. It's not, but we'll say that 2 inches would go on one side and 2 inches would go on the other side. That's if we have the okay of the property owner on the other side. So for me, they put the line there, and then they put the 4x4 up against the line. So it's all on my side. So technically I say what goes on with everything, painting the other side, etc. But I'm not, if he wants to stay in that side, that's great. Then that's fine with me. But if you're talking about inches or feet, then there's some other things come into play too. If it's been there for 10 or I can't remember, 20 years, and nobody's ever disputed it, then that becomes the new lot line. So that's kind of scary.
Yeah, I had one where they couldn't close. We couldn't close, like everything was done, but we couldn't close because there was an issue with title, and it was the survey or whatever. It was new subdivision, new build, and it was a fence. The fence was literally 7 feet on the wrong side.
Oh, geez.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Could you imagine losing all that space?
Yeah, you buy a house and you think, hey, I got all this extra space, and you really don't have all that extra space. So.
Well, really, that's what happened to me here. Because there was nobody on those lots on the next street.
On the left and the right of you.
I lost 500 square feet because when the guys came in to put in the landscaping, they just pulled the line and rolled the grass out, in the sprinkler lines and all that. And when they came to put in my fence, the guy knocked on my door and said, hey, your lot line isn't where your property is actually sitting. The grass goes 2 or 3, 4 feet over it. And I was like, oh man, they got to change that. like the developer or the builder's got to change that. That's mine. And turns out not so. It's not mine. And they came and the builder had to send the landscaper out. They moved all the sprinkler lines, got rid of the grass, and I lost like 500 square feet. In the end, my lot's big. It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
but
you still have too much grass to mow.
yeah, exactly. So,
Melissa, is that something that title insurance would help with?
Well, I'd want to see what's really going on with it first. And then, yes, we could have one of the title officers or the title officer at the company who insured it can look at it and determine if there's something more that needs to be done or not.
So would it come into play more for you if there had been an easement or something? Like they put it over the line, they realized it, they made an easement, and then that stuff would come up through title, right?
Yes, it would.
So that's a perfect segue. That's a perfect segue into what is title insurance and why do we need you?
Okay. So title insurance, as a buyer, I would want to know that there was an owner's policy of title insurance provided for me. That's my assurance that everything of that seller, to the point that deed records to me, has been paid in full, or is being insured that it's paid in full, is being insured that it's current. Now, to go a step further, the title companies have an additional owner's coverage that can be purchased. Ours is specifically called a coverage one, and it is not a full extended owner's.
But we could get that, right? We could get the Alta policy, and that would be that.
Yes.
Okay.
But if you have a home in a platted subdivision lot and block, you can get the coverage one. And the coverage one protects you going forward, protects you against unrecorded liens. It would protect you against encroachments. That's a product that, we many times hope is marked that is going to be paid through closing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a small price to pay for your assurance that things are okay.
I recommend to my buyer clients to buy the Alta policy to cover all of that stuff. Now, how long does that last? So the seller policy lasts until they close, right? And then the buyer policy, what'd you call it? Level one? Coverage one. Covers against mechanics liens and unrecorded liens.
Yep. Covers until they sell that property and it's deeded to someone else.
Okay. And then why would I buy the Alta policy?
So a few years ago, I worked on a new development that there were a lot of the contractors still being paid for services in putting the streets and everything in. Mm-hmm. So as a homeowner in there, I would want the Alta policy because I would I'm trying to think of how to put this. The extended owners, and I may not be able to quote exactly all the things that it covers, but it would cover more of in that case where.
So is it maybe more dollars worth, or mechanics liens aren't covered in the coverage one?
They are, but there's a specific circumstances. So if it's just dirt and there's not a home, and so these people were just buying a lot and then are going to put a home on it. Mm-hmm. So that coverage one cannot be issued on just dirt. Oh, okay. Got to be an existing home. So at that point, then you would want the Alta extended owner's coverage to protect you on that lot purchase going forward.
Okay. And just to give everybody an idea, if we're buying a $500,000 house, how much do you think those two overlapping policies cost? $500 or?
So on the $500, I'd have to look and see what the owner's cost is. Owner's policy, and with a coverage one, it's 10%.
Okay.
That owner's policy, say, is $2,000. It would be $200.
Okay.
So again, small price to pay for the coverage that you get.
And I'm sorry, did you say it stays with them until they sell the property?
Until it's deeded again.
Okay.
to someone else.
So if anybody comes up, although you don't have 5 years to file a mechanics lien, if 5 years down the road this lien falls on the house from the previous owner, title picks it up.
Yes, from the previous owner. Yes.
Right. Right. Okay.
But there may be a statute of limitations on that, and that I don't know the answer to. I could find out.
So real quick, let's just talk about kind of how the process goes. I'm out showing houses. We decide on one. We write up a contract. In that contract, we get to ask for the title company and the escrow officer that we want to use, and then we go under contract. We're probably already working with Shaun to cover the lending, to make the loan for the buyer. We're probably connecting them with Dan to get homeowners insurance. And if they're coming from out of state, maybe they'll need all the other lines that you need to cover their stuff. But we give that we give that contract to you and say, okay, we're under contract. We want to use you as our title company. What do you guys do? What does that mean? What do you take that and run with it and do what?
We take that, and first off, our title team does a search of the property. They do a search of the county records to see, check the last deed of record for that seller, make sure that they actually have the right to sell that and that they own it. Check for any liens, encumbrances, any mortgages. We also pull up all of the names on a system that will check for judgments. And here's kind of if you have a person with a common name, just know that we are going to ask for either a middle initial, middle name, or a social. And here's why. There's probably a lot of Melissa Johnsons in the area, or at least in the state. And some of them may have, some bad credit, some judgments, things against them. Well, unless you have anything that's going to separate one from the other, those things could show up on a title commitment.
That seems prudent. That's good.
So, we are going to search all that. We're going to provide a copy to our agent partners, to any lending partners, and want to make sure that the buyers and sellers have a chance to review that. We can provide any CCNRs if there are any CCNRs for the subdivision, if they haven't already been provided those. And then from that point, we are processing and verifying any HOAs, assessments, irrigation, making sure that all of those are paid current. And then we kind of sit in a holding pattern and wait for our lender partners.
And then you guys take care of all the debits and credits that might happen.
Yep,
right? So up to the date that the closing is supposed to be, the HOA will be paid and credited to the parties necessary so that nobody's losing money or whatever. They're not paying when they don't need to and things like that, right?
Correct.
And then, man, have you ever come across some crazy judgments and or what's the craziest thing you've seen that you can talk about?
That you can
Full disclosure, names and numbers.
Yeah.
I have seen things where maybe there was someone passed away and their estate has not been probated.
Okay. Yeah.
People, families don't often like to hear that, hey, before we close this, we need you to at least family law attorney about doing a short form probate so that someone is appointed personal rep and can actually sign to sell this. Divorce can get a little bit hairy. And it's nice to have attorneys all working together.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to keep her.
It's cheaper to keep her. Oh, we lost Melissa. Say something, Melissa. Are you still there?
Yeah.
So I was going to go into the how to hold title, and since we're talking about passing it on and probate and stuff like that, like obviously there's the smart way of doing it is to have a trust, right? But what's the ways that people can hold title in Idaho, especially because it's a little bit different from each state, right? So,
Right. And that would probably be a whole nother call because there are so many different ways of
Yeah.
investing.
what's the most common that you see when people are married or single?
When they're married, we usually,
Yeah.
you know, John and Sally Smith, husband and wife.
That's it.
And if I die, Sally goes. In this scenario, I'm John, right? Not
Mhm.
Shaun. But
Un-
if I die, Sally gets the home, right? She takes over. There's nothing happening. No one's going to come after her. That kind of thing.
Well,
Right?
kind of. John's name is still on the home until she does something with it. In Idaho, there's a couple of things you can do after a period of 3 years, and with a title officer approval. There's a document that title companies can do called an affidavit of surviving spouse.
Mhm.
And once provided with a death certificate, can be completed. And as long as it's approved, it can be recorded to take care of John's interest. That's one.
Good. Sorry.
A few different ones. And at that point, it might be best for me to have a title officer maybe join a call and answer some questions on those.
Interesting.
Let's say Sally wants to sell the house within the 3 years, right? So she never gets the affidavit, right, of surviving spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Can she just sell the house and provide a death certificate at that time?
There's a that she can do, and I'm trying to remember which one that one is. I think it is community property with right of survivorship, but don't quote me on that.
Mm-hmm. That sounds familiar.
In the guide.
That's so that's kind of what would happen if I mean, this is horrible, and I'm only using
kind of morbid.
Yeah, it's a little morbid. I'm just using it as an example. John and Jane Smith are selling their house. John dies. So, but it's that same thing that we were just talking about, right? Death certificate. She doesn't have to wait 3 years. She doesn't have to sit in. What's that?
Yeah, you can't force her to stay in the house for 3 years before she sells.
Right. So there's got to be a way for title to handle it.
And there is. I need to look and see. We have some options.
Cool. Well, the moral of the story is talk to your attorney and your CPA and put everything you own in a trust so that everybody knows what's going on, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And then if you're a surviving spouse, call Dan to list your house. Right?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. And if you have to borrow any more money, then call Shaun. And then when you get to the new place, you need insurance. So Dan's the man, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, we've gone through all that. We're in the holding pattern that you were talking about, where we've got 4 days to close. Or what else happens? Or is the next thing just sitting down at the signing table and going over all the documents? You've paid any liens that might exist, any judgments, those things have been paid. That's something that you guys do, right?
We do. So once Shaun is already on the loan part, all of the loan documents will come to us. We'll set appointments with the buyer and the seller. They're going to sign all of those loan documents, bring us in their funds to close. Bring us in funds to close in the form of here's check or a wire. Idaho is a good fund state, so we have to have certified funds. And then once we have all of those funds, all of the funds from the loan in the form of, typically it's usually a wire, and the lender's given us approval, we'll record the warranty deed or the deed transferring ownership to the new buyer. We'll record the deed of trust to show their new loan, and then we'll disperse funds, and we'll pay off the mortgage, pay the seller, pay any HOAs that need paid.
Okay. Make us safe about wire transfers.
Okay. So if you send a contract over and the buyer initially wants to wire in their earnest money, so this would be we would set up our file, and then through a secure system, we are going to email out the wiring instructions to those directly to those people. We're going to copy you. And we ask that they call us to re-verify those wiring instructions prior to sending those funds.
And what could happen if they don't?
If they don't,
If they received an email that says, send us a bunch of money and this is the wiring account number, what could that be?
and if they get number one, that's not secure, and number two, they don't call to re-verify, that email could be intercepted, and it could be some fraud person and say, here, send your money. I'm closing your transaction. They send their money and it's not to me.
And it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You just change the routing number or whatever. And this is something that you guys have like yearly training on. Or I know I have training on it twice a year.
Yeah.
For water fraud. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a big deal. So
I always talk about it with my clients. I always let them know to call you if you receive any emails, because this happened to my mother-in-law.
Oh.
Luckily, she called me and said, they want more money. I'm so angry. And I went, wait a minute, what? I go, stop, don't do anything. Let's have a look at it and let's call title. And we did that. And they said, we didn't request any money. And they wanted like 140 grand or something. Like that would have just, that's horrible. So these people are out there running rampant, stealing people's money, and very, very little of it ever gets recovered. And the FBI is they're the overseeing body that takes care of that, investigates those things.
One of the mortgage brokers that I insure had that happen, and it was about a $400,000 transaction. It was before I started to insure them. And so on the policies, I can make sure that they have fraudulent transfer coverage and, different things that would protect them.
Oh, well, that's good to know. There's a fraudulent transfer policy that would cover somebody.
Correct.
Yeah.
And is that per transaction? Like you're saying, look, I'm getting into this transaction. I'm going to buy this house or sell this house or buy this house. And I'm going to be going through a process where I send a bunch of money. I need a policy just in case they don't receive the money properly or something like that. Is that how it works?
Typically it's built into the cyber policy or the general liability that I would do for them.
Okay.
So
as a broker,
an endorsement that I could put on the policy for that.
Okay.
it's like errors and omission coverage for
It's like an E&O.
Kind of falls into the same category. Yeah.
Okay. And that's cheap or expensive?
If there's no prior claims, it's
Right.
It's a decent amount of money, but if there's prior claims, it can be really expensive.
I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, because it seems like that's the type of thing that somebody could actually take advantage of. And so
Very important.
That's scary stuff. So we've
everything will be fine. I promise.
Fine. So we've let them know absolutely under no circumstances will you wire any money without first verifying it with title.
Right.
They make that call. The gal at the front desk or Melissa Johnson or Matt answers the phone and says, yes, let's go over the numbers. Yes, those numbers are correct. That is the correct amount. Please wire it. They wire the money. It takes 40 minutes or 4 days, or how long does it take to get it?
Take anywhere from 5 minutes to 2 hours, a couple hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depends
You
on when
get the
when
money.
you initiate it.
Yes.
You get the money. The balance sheet's all good. They come meet you at the office. In most cases, I'll show up too. Sometimes the lender will be there. Whoever wants to join the party, right?
Yes.
We all sit down at the desk, and then what do they do? What do you do?
I'm going to go through the documents. I'm going to go through the closing statement, and Shaun's documents have already been provided. We're going to go through. We're going to sign everything and answer as many questions as I can, and know that we can reach out to the lending partner if that's who we need to.
Cool. And then all the commissions and all that get done, and it's all a done deal. Funded and recorded. So you guys submit the package. We wait for funding and recording, phone calls and texts from the county or from you guys who've been assured by the county that it's been done. And that's it.
And it's a happy.
So
That's right.
I got a question for you though.
Yes.
So when it comes to like earnest money, right?
Yes.
one thing that surprised me because I'm licensed in multiple states, but coming from California specifically, I was so surprised that I could give a personal check,
We don't like
open escrow,
them.
but it's an option on the contract, which is just
However,
blows my mind. So
however, we have to wait an extended period of time to allow those
this was let it clear.
So if the contract states closing in 5 days,
Can't do it.
you give a personal check for earnestment, it can't happen.
But on a 30-day escrow,
Yep.
you have time or 10 days to let it clear and hit title, right?
So it's best
Yeah.
check
And
or
so that was just because in California, if you don't wire your funds within like 3 days, they'll just cancel your contract. Like it's quick. Get it in, or
that's scary.
you like got to get to the bank.
Yeah.
The next day.
Yeah.
no.
To get your funds wired. Yeah, it's serious. So
Melissa, say that again. I'm sorry. Your phone cuts off the microphone if there's any other noise. So go ahead.
Okay. I would much prefer a cashier's check or a wire.
me too.
In personal checks.
Okay, good to know. I try and get my clients to wire because it's the easiest. You can sit at your computer and do it. It's easy. And
you may send a check in the mail. I mean that. I don't trust the mail personally.
Yeah.
If they insist on writing a personal check, I ask them to go to the nearest Title I office and just drop it at the front desk.
Yeah, I'm just talking about like California, like you're making an offer and mailing a check and it's going in the mail. It's taking, maybe 2 or 3 days to even get here. Sometimes.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
We did. We did a personal check when we did ours.
So did I. Yeah.
But you guys had a couple of months.
This almost 6 years ago, though.
You guys had a couple of months until you closed, right, Dan?
Say that again.
When you made your offer and you went under contract, did you have months until you closed, or 30 days, or how did you do it?
No, actually, we had put an offer in sight unseen on a house, and that one we mailed the check in. I flew out. It was the day after Thanksgiving, so I flew out. It was within 17 days or whatever because I pulled out of escrow after I saw the house.
Oh,
and then that money sat in escrow until we found the builder that we worked with, and that money just transferred over to them.
Oh, good.
But
okay.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
The same title company.
So, yeah, I was with the same title company, and they just transferred it over, so we didn't have to do another check, and
good.
Made it work. But yeah, we pulled out of escrow as soon as I saw that house.
Well, hey, let me just do a little bit of advertising here.
Oh, and mine was 23 days, Dan. Thanks for asking.
What is it?
23 days.
Okay. I don't know if anybody out there shoots. If you shoot sporting clays or trap or skeet or anything like that, the school is putting on May 12th a half day.
What school?
The Ambrose School, right here in the middle of the screen.
Is that where your kids go, Dan?
Well, we're not trying to get the weirdos out there going to my kids' school.
That's a good point. Sorry.
Scratch that.
It's a great school, classical Christian education. We are big fans and big promoters of the school. Therefore, when something like this comes up, it's something that I'm going to do. I'm going to be there. I'm going to shoot. I think it's a great way for people to get together and have a little fun that doesn't always happen. This isn't something that's always going on. You can always go to the bowling alley and roll the bowling ball, but there isn't always a sporting clay tournament, much less there isn't always one that you can advertise in and be a logo sponsor and things like that. This is going to be, like I said, half to full day. You get there, check in, coffee, donuts, a safety briefing.
Don't shoot each other.
Right. We'll start shooting. We'll have lunch. They'll talk about who won and in each category and things like that. And then post-shoot bourbon tasting. And of course, a silent auction. So if there's anybody out there that wants to get into this and do this, either reach out to me or go to theambroseschool.org and click that link at the top of the screen.
Or if you want to contribute and just go heckle Dan.
Yes, I work better under pressure. So if you come out and heckle me, I'll probably hit more targets. So come on out. Or if you want to sponsor the lunch or any of those things, if you go on to
Sponsor the bourbon.
sponsor the bourbon, somebody's got to sponsor the bourbon. Yeah. So we go here to tickets and sponsorships, and you see that you can get a team of 4 in. So if, say, Title I wanted to sponsor 4 agents or, well, you know, 4 of their own people or whatever.
I'm an item. I'd go shoot.
Yeah, $800 for 4 people, so it's a $50 per person savings, and then you get all the way down.
Friends.
Or I mean, if you have 4 friends, I mean,
I don't have 4 friends.
I don't either. So it's, or if you want to run the whole gamut here and do all these things, $7,500. It's a lot, but if you think that would be beneficial to your business or your organization, it's absolutely a write-off. So there's that. We're going to be out there at Rock Creek Shooting Club.
Is there an age restriction on the shooters? Just so people would know.
I don't think so. I mean, it's a school day, so a lot of kids would be in school, but
My
you know,
kid's
we
still
do
right now, so I don't know.
we do have a trap team at the Ambrose School that one of my sons now and soon both of my sons will shoot on, and it's very safe. It's a really
And he's very good at it.
he's pretty good. He's gotten a lot better. I mean, when we started, he was shooting 8 out of 50, and last week he shot a 44, or 2 weeks ago we shot a 44 out of 50, which is better than I shoot. So I shot in one of the tournaments, and I think I shot a 38 out of 50 or something, which maybe with a little practice I could get it up to 40. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Super cool thing that if you're into it.
And that school is here.
Can I plug something real
Is that
quick and not
Millennium?
take anything away from this? Just something that's coming up next weekend.
Absolutely, please do.
So the Parade of Homes is coming up first part of
Indiana?
May in Southwest Idaho. At the Village starting next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're doing a pet Parade of Homes. So some of the schools in the Southwest Ada district, their students built dog houses. So they built about 15 of them. They're on pallets. They're 4x4. They weigh about 300 to 400 pounds, I believe. They're pretty impressive,
Substantial.
pretty impressive deals, and they're going to be at the Village all weekend. You can they're auctioned off, so you can put money in. There's gift baskets. There's all kinds of stuff.
Is this it right here?
Yep. That's it right there.
Cool.
All the proceeds go back to scholarships for these students so that they can get into trade school.
That's awesome.
About 40% of the Valley or Idaho, I don't know, I think it's just Valley, has something to do with the trades. And so this is going to help them with their further education.
Okay, well, check it out. bcaswi.org. BCASI. You see
And
it
is
right
this going to
there.
be like in the Village? Like
It's in the Village.
Kind of thing?
Yeah, right over by Yard House in the
Okay.
fountain over there.
Yeah.
The Village is donating the space, so they're going to be on display for 3 days. And,
Super cool.
Yeah, welcome. Anyone's welcome. Come check them out. It's going to be a pretty big deal. It'll be on the news. Last year they did it and was successful, and this year is going to be even better.
Cool.
Yeah, really cool event.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. Melissa, do you have anything you want to plug?
I have nothing else.
Okay. Sean.
I mean, I would love to. I would love to plug which wineries I'm going to this weekend.
What wineries are those?
I know. I better get a text on that one.
Reservations to go to Three Horse, which is beautiful, on Saturday.
Are there only
Cool.
3 horses there? I always wondered.
You know what? I did not count.
Yeah. I heard it was called anyway, never mind. I was gonna come up with a joke that was probably pretty dumb. So
It's probably inappropriate, Dan.
oh, it would have been appropriate.
Let's
So
keep it
I
above the
think-
table, okay?
It might be funny though.
I think that we want to end today with a video that Sean and I made yesterday.
Well, man,
You ready?
Yeah.
so many views.
Done.
We're gonna make thousands. I'm gonna make you famous.
Oh, where's your need a voice? I don't have any volume, buddy. But beautiful sink.
Don't give it away.
Oh,
Yeah.
big boy certified. That's where I put my drink, right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
We come back in and he's wearing a dress over the Bud Light.
Easy, buddy. Easy.
Drinking a Bud Light.
Yeah.
It was fun. That was fun. That was good. I like that. Shaun came up with the idea, and I said, absolutely.
Well, it's mostly because I saw the tub and I was like, I think I could actually fit in that one.
That is a big bathtub. All of the bathtubs in the RTL homes are huge. So
Yeah.
come by and see us on
Someone
Field
might
of
say it's a 2-person bathtub. I'm just saying.
I mean, we might suggest that to people who come in as couples, you know?
Yeah, get in there together. Just check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll run if you put a contract in, we'll run a bubble bath for you and we'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Melissa, thanks so much for coming on with us. I
Thanks,
really
Melissa.
appreciate it. I love working with you, and you're always so helpful.
Good seeing you guys.
Have a great
Dan,
weekend.
thanks, guys. Appreciate you. That was I like the pet parade of homes looks pretty rad. So maybe we'll check.
Yeah, I know it didn't say this weekend. It had like the 1st through the 3rd, but it is this weekend. I promise.
Okay.
Or next weekend. I'm sorry. Next weekend.
Which one is it?
Next
weekend.
Okay, next weekend. And today is 4/21/2023. So next weekend.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming. We'll
Hey,
talk to you soon.
It's been a blast.